Then you have a discussion. And a discussion, I use it more like rugby. It's not so much
Mm.
of the brutality, it's the activity. And if you look at the rugby team, it is every single body shape and size. It's not football players that are big and strong. It's everybody. You need the little guy who's fast. You need the big, huge guy that doesn't move very fast, but it's just a tank. So anybody with any physique can play rugby. And so each one has rules and violations. And then I'll just kind of back off and stop because I'm getting into a lecture, obviously, and your audience is getting tired of this. Then there's a single way of communicating. And I've come up with a lecture, which I tend to do, a rant. So a friend of mine came up with that idea. Yeah, you take a rant. It's a single person just talking. And then you have a sermon. And then you have a story. So if it's once upon a time, people love to tell stories. Other people tell you, you should do this, you should do that. Bingo, right? There's a sermon. Or here I am ranting and waving on a lecture. So
I love that. And I love how you use the sports analogy because it's something we can relate to in society, right? And we can make that connection. So I like that. Yeah, that's really great. Because I've been doing some solo episodes lately, and for my podcast, and I've been asking ChatGPT to kind of help me come up with an analogy or something that it can relate to. So the steps in the process kind of, like a road trip or something like that. So I like the sports analogy. That's great. And then you can kind of relate to it and go, oh yeah, I get it. Yeah, that makes sense. A debate can be different forms of that. So I like that. And it's great that you've been trying it out on your fiance a little bit too, and others to say, how is this working? Is there something, that I need to adjust? And the fact that you're willing to take others' owners' manuals and be able to take theirs and adapt and, like you said, take pieces of it, or, it's a community. I like that. And
right.
that's what
That's back to
education is all
communication.
about. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what
Being able to
family's all about.
communicate. Right.
Right?
Exactly.
It all ties into
Yeah.
family.
Right. I love that. So to help us design instruction, how can a teacher use the questions where, when, and who to start the day well? Those questions that you mentioned earlier.
Sure. You're going to have that right in the beginning is when you're communicating with your students. Where are they from? Who are they? And sometimes they're on different developmental levels. So you speak to one student this way, but you got to tone it down. You got to use more simple words. Or the other one is they're so bored, they're so bright, they're so quick to catch everything. You got to give them some extra little beyond what a school would ask you to do. And so just keep them occupied, because I found myself to be bored in school because my mind was going all the time. So that's where those first three questions is who, where, and when. Establish that before you do the what. We go into questions usually in the first grade, and we never revisit them. So here's a good opportunity to say, okay, class, we learned this in first grade, the questions. Let's go back. What would be the first question to ask? And they're all going to say, why? Because the TV, the news always asks why. And why do you ask why? That's to stop a conversation and to start a debate. Because that's one of the violations of a conversation is to ask why. Well, why ask why? Well, it starts a debate. No, it doesn't. Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. See? So that's
I
what
love that.
it shuts it down right away.
Yeah,
So
I love
you're
that.
not looking for a debate. So
Right.